of Expanded Week here on the tea table. Today we're going to look at a deck that is been a deck in Expanded, but the card you played with has changed, and that is going to be Electrode GX Box. This deck list comes from Lou. I'm not sure, Leu, Japanese player. Just want to shout them out for that. Cool deck list, really cool things going on here. So let's look at the basis of what this is. So you see a lot of things. We're going to the third and a half row of Pokemon, so you know what's wild. So the basis is going to be Electrode GX, which says, once during your turn, you may attach 5 energy cards from your discard pile to your Pokemon, except GX or EX, any way you like, and if you do, Electrode is knocked out. So the key thing here, a couple things, is can't put on GX or EX, and it's any energy card. So a lot of these deck lists will utilize counter energy because you'll become losing and stuff like that. But this particular build will focus on Aurora energy and Rainbow energy. So Aurora energy is a standard card. You discard a card to play it. It provides anything. And Rainbow energy is a card that left us a couple years ago in standard, which says it provides anything, but when you attach it from your hand, you take 1 damage counter. Now the cool thing about this is when you Electrode them into play, you ignore their effects, because they say when you play from your hand. So if you Electrode Aurora, you don't have to discard, and if you Electrode Rainbow, you do not take 10, which is a really cool save damage feature, especially in Expanded where like 10 damage matters. So there is a lot going on. So let's dive on into the rest of what the working parts are to get your Electrode popping. So, as you can see here, we do only have one Voltorb in the list. They chose to go with this Voltorb. Flip a coin if your opponent's paralyzed. 60-60 to itself. It doesn't really matter what the Voltorb is. There is this other Voltorb in Expanded, this one. If it has any energy, its retreat cost is 0, but it is important to know if you do use Electrode GX, you attach energy first, so any energy on your Voltorb does not get attached, so you realistically want to retreat. Like if you have to put it, you want to discard it. So that is a key thing to remember for that, is while this one has a great ability, it kind of hurts your Electrode as you attach first, then knock out. I had done that a few times. When this card was in standard Electrode, you name a deck, I was playing it. Okay, so we'll go through some of this support Pokemon before we get to what you can attack with. So as you've seen in other deck lists, we do have the Grimer Alolan Muk, which has each base Pokemon in play, player's hand, and this card has no abilities, as I have stated in the previous videos. That's amazing. Expanded's a lot of basic abilities going on. So there is the one Voltorb you saw. That's because we have Ditto Prism. There was Prisms in other videos, such as the Zoroark one, which do say you can only have more. You cannot have more than one Prism with the same name in your deck. And if the Prism Pokemon is knocked out, it goes to the Lost Zone, which is removed from game. So you cannot use it again. You can't get it back. There's nothing to do. So basically, this thing does Ditto things, and it just becomes a Stage 1. So you could bench it, so you have the ability to evolve into Muk or Electrode, which is pretty sweet. So you kind of sit there and your opponent's like, what's happening there? So like if you were to bench a Voltorb and a Ditto, most likely, you're going to get to evolve 1, which is really cool. And you could also evolve in your other Stage 1, Bronzong. So Bronzong says, as often as you like, you may move a metal energy from one of your Pokemon to another of your Pokemon. And the best thing about that is all your energy are metal. So that is how you work around everything. So you pop Electrode on a Bronzong or, whatever you might have in play that you're allowed to attach to, and then you can move them freely on the board. So you're not just kind of stuck if you have to do an awkward attachment. So if you're like, oh, put 5 energy on Bronzong, that's okay. You can move them, which is really cool and a really cool effect. So like if you had the counter energy build, once you are winning, you can't do that anymore. So it's really sweet. And you also get to use this really cool Bronzor from Team Up, which says if you go second, you can evolve it. So if you open Bronzor on the bench, you're going second, and you get that awkward Bronzor, you can just put it on there and not have to worry about it, which is really, really sweet. And can save you if you have an awkward discard with your various cards in your deck. So some of the other Pokemon to support, we have Exeggcute, which is the propagation, get it back. We've talked about it. Its ability resets every time it goes into your hand. So if you discard it for a ball card or a research, or you just have to discard it, you can put it back and save yourself another card from discarding. So that way you can save your resources if you have to. We got Crobat V from Standard, draw until you have 6. We have Dedenne-GX, which is discard your hand and draw until you have 6. Now, both of these can only do is once per turn. So if you got 2, you got both in your deck because you want that to happen. We got Tapu Lele-GX, which is just like Lumineon V. That was recently printed. Searcher Supporter, pretty good. Then we get a little wacky here. So as you see, the rest of the Pokemon are super spread out to basically let you do anything. So we're going to just go down the line here and talk about why each of these are in there. So you have Whismur, because we're all clamoring to play Whismur in our deck. Also, I want to point out this art. This Beware is super funny. Here's like, hey, what's going on? Whismur like, please no. Please no. I'm out of here. Can't do it. So, it has an attack for one color. It's called Ball. You can use this only if you go second and only on your first turn. Your opponent can't play any trainers from their hand during their next turn. So, another card that is legal in Expanded will be this card right here. Gengar Mimikyu GX, whose GX attack, which is a thing you can only use once a game. Your opponent can't play any cards. So, because you're not going to be playing Gengar because you have another GX attack you want to move, use in the game. Whismur is this really cool thing. Your opponent's like, sure, can't play trainers, and it makes up for going second with how much your opponent can get set up, because that means they can't Boss's Orders or Guzma, which is like Boss's Orders, but you both switch, away your Voltorb or whatever you're trying to set up. So it is a really cool card to stall for a turn to allow you to get back an advantage and hit him with all your stuff. Now you're thinking, that has 2 retreat cost. That's where Darkrai-EX comes in. Darkrai-EX is one of OG EXs. This card reigns supreme, and it's found its place in other decks because its ability, so each of your Pokemon that's dark energy, has no retreat cost. Well, luckily, all your energy are dark energy. So you're able to just pop it on Whismur and retrieve for free and not have to worry about it. If you do have to attack with it, if you're playing against like Shadowwriter, VMAX was a really, really good deck in Expanded. You can just hit for weakness 180 and 31 your opponent's bench. I know that might not seem like much now, but back in the day, whew, this card was scary. This was some scary Pokemon. You got nightmares literally from Darkrai. We have Hoopa V, a very new card from just the last set before this one. 173, put 3 damage counters on it, but it helps you with your type coverage as it is Psychic and Dark. So, depending what your opponent's got going on there, it can definitely help you swing it and get you a cheap knockout super fast on your opponent. And that way you have 2 types. So, if you're facing a Pokemon weak to Psychic, boom. And also really good against Shadowwriter, just like their Darkrai. But this will just one-hit knockout Shadowwriter, which I believe is why this is in the deck anyway. Because you can just hit him with a 340, and then you take 3 prizes, and there's like, huh, well, that just happened. And then we have Sableye, another Whismur-like card, but it says your opponent can't play supporters from their hand next turn. So, a lot of the times, what you're going to have is like, all right, I need to live the next turn, right? Like, I need one more turn to win, and if you get Boss's Orders, you lose, or Guzma, or whatever they might be. That kind of supporter. So, you just limitation, your opponent can't play supporters. They're probably just going to knock out the Sableye, because it'd be weird not to take a prize. And that's when you can swing and come in with your other attacker to win the game. I like this card as a surprise mid-game or early game. So like if you prize Whismur, you do got Sableye. It is, I guess, on par with Whismur, because Whismur you can only do once ever. But Sableye you can do whenever, but it's only supporters. But that's really, really good, especially with the way people, like I said, can Boss's Order up and take out your setup Pokemon or what you're trying to do. So then we get to move on to Garchomp and Giratina Tag Team GX. This card has been great in Expanded for a while now. In 2020 at the Texas Regional, an insane deck with Garchomp popped up and won the whole thing. It took everybody by storm. So what this card does for one colorless is 41 your opponent's Pokemon. Cool. Calamitous Slash does 160 for 3. But if they have any damage counters, it's 240, and it's sick GX attack GGN-GX. You discard one of your opponent's Pokemon in play, and all cards attached to it. But if you have at least 3 extra fighting energy, remember all your energy are everything, you discard 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. So if your opponent gets like a slow starting can set up, or you can see they're going for their like 2 attackers, you just discard both of them. Just boop, get out of here. Go to the discard pile. And the fact that, so like all cards too, so if they're powering up with energy, easy way to get out of there. Also, this is the alternate art. Looks amazing. Now, it is a GX, which you cannot attach to with Electrode. So you do need to remember you're going to want to have something else in play. Like, you want to have the Bronzong anyway, so you always remember you got to have an extra Pokemon to attach it to, so you can't just be like Electrode, only Electrode Giratina into play. It's going to get awkward for you, and you're not going to have a really good time. Then we have Gardevoir and Sylveon-GX. This is also a card in Expanded that used to just be a deck on its own. It is a really cool card. Its attacks are really good, and its GX attack is wild. So the first attack you're not going to be able to use because it says search for 2 Fairy Energy cards. We don't play any because your energy are only everything in play. Got to remember that. They do have the fairy symbol, so you know it has to be like a fairy energy kind of thing. I do got Kaleidostorm, which is moving energy from your Pokemon to your other Pokemon. So you may not always have, insane stuff going on, but you can Kaleidostorm and move your energy away to save it if you think you're going to get knocked out. Really cool. But then we have Magical Miracle GX. If this Pokemon has at least 3 extra fairy, your opponent just shuffles their hand into their deck. So if you can get it, which is not super hard, the turn 2, like depending on what your opponent's doing, Gardevoir, and then you get Muck into play where your opponent can't, your basic Pokemon don't have abilities, and you shuffle their hand into their deck. That means if they draw a Crobat or Dedenne or Tapu Lele-GX, they don't work, which is really clutch and can just win the game. Like if your opponent's not, they don't have a there's not a lot of Pokemon people using Expanded like Barrel, like in Standard and stuff like that, that draw. Like, it's not very common. So, if you're not playing against, like, Shadowwriter, which has ability built in and stuff to draw cards, you can just win the game with it. A lot of times, you're like 200. And the best part is, after you do 200, you can move the energies away with Bronzong and start doing Kaleidostorm and move it to something else. And then we have Galarian Zapdos V. That's a standard card. Costs 1 less for each of your opponent's Pokemon V. Remember, Expanded is full of EXs, GX, and Vs, so you got to remember to count right. Definitely not something I've done where I messed up and it was 1 energy sort. Not this guy. Not me at all. It does fighting and 3 colorless. 170. Before doing damage, discard a special energy from your opponent's active, which is actually really relevant in Expanded. Not so much Standard, because when you attack with it, you're probably going to knock out. But let's say you're playing against Blissey V, as we all know. Well, in Expanded, there is a card called Weakness Energy, which is given a weakness. So what you can do is you're like, all right, oh no, how can I knock out in 1 hit? Well, you Thunderous Kick, and before doing damage, you discard the weakness, and then you're doing 340 and knock him out. So it's a really sweet card. That's a really sweet effect. I love it. One of my favorite effects in Standard, because it adds another layer of thinking and stuff to the game. It's really sweet. We got Zacian V. This card has been around a while. You can look at the top 3, touch any metal, which you won't be able to because it's actual metal. But you do get to draw 3 cards. And if you have to, it's a 230 for 3, lets you preserve your other energy. Just a great card overall. Realistically, like this is top to bottom. Dog with a sword, 10 out of 10. Love the card. It's not so impactful in Standard at the moment. But when that card first came out, it ruled the land along with ADP, and I really love the card, and I'm glad you can fit it in decks like this, where you don't really care what energy you're playing. And then we got Kyogre. Amazing rare Kyogre. So, if you're playing against Mad Party, you could say, or Night March, which is basically Mad Party in Expanded, like a true Expanded deck, you could just do this, and it is 80 to each of your opponent's Pokemon. So if you notice, like, as you saw, like, I was playing Zoroark yesterday, you got, like, 2 or 3 Zorars in play, they got a Ditto, or you see they're trying to set up, like, an Evolved Pokemon to do stuff, and you can get this, boom. And the best part is, you can just attach directly to it with Electrode. So maybe you didn't get your Bronzong out, that's okay. You got a Kyogre. Bip, bop, boom, 80. I think the most I've taken is 4 prizes at one time. It's a really cool card, and it's only 1 prize, which is sweet. So if you can Electrode into Kyogre and take a few prizes, and they knock out Kyogre, their opponent still has 3 prizes, which means you can do another Electrode, and you'll have 1, and hopefully win the game on that one. It's really cool, really sweet. You can just put any amazing rare in the deck, but I think Kyogre for purposes of like this type of deck, and expanded is the best one because the others are like VMAXs and kind of limited. You do have Raikou, amazing rare, was 120 and 120, which is pretty cool. But I think the overall of 80 to all Pokemon is better suited for the expanded play style than Raikou is. Like, I think Raikou's better in standard, but Kyogre better in expanded. So that was the 3.5 lines of Pokemon. So let's jump into the trainers here. We got Battle Compressor. Should this card be banned? Yeah, maybe. Search your deck for 3 cards and discard them. So, you most likely are putting 3 energy. Because a lot of the times, like, how do I discard this energy? Oh, this card just says do it. It's insane. It also lets you set up you only have 3 supporters in your deck, but it does let you set up for Versus Seeker, which this deck has 2 of, which is put a supporter back from your disc pile in your hand, which is really good. It also can combo, if you have it, with Rescue Stretcher. So sometimes, like, oh, I got this really slow start, and I'll Battle Compressor like 2 energy and a Dedenne into my discard pile, and then you can pick up the Dedenne and draw 6, and you're moving on. Really cool. A lot of synergy. I don't know if it's too broken. It's probably too broken, but it is what it is. We do have the Ace Spec card, which you can only have 1 in your deck. And since this is a combo deck, you want to play Computer Search, which is discard 2 cards, which you have to be able to do to play it, and you just search for anything. Pretty self-explanatory why that's good. Oh, I'm missing Bronzong? Fine. Oh, I'm missing the Gardevoir. I'm missing what? It doesn't matter. Computer Search says that's nice, as long as you didn't prize it. We got Escape Rope to switch. There is a card, Wobbuffet in Expanded, which says as long as it's active, Pokemon that aren't Psychic don't have abilities. So unless you do have Muck out to stop it, you're going to have to get around it because your Electrode will be useless and you can't use it. So Escape Rope is really clutch. We got Field Blower. Choose up to any 2 in any combination of tool cards and stadiums. And it could be yours. Probably not doing yours. And discard them. Really great. There are like Pat to the Peak, which will stop Electrode as it has a rule box. Tools. The Gardevoir that says if it has a tool, your opponent cannot, or nobody can use abilities. That card's really good against us, obviously. Stuff like that. And then we have Pokemon Communication, which is you choose a Pokemon from your hand, show your opponent, you do a magic trick, you put that Pokemon back in your deck, and you get a different one. It's just a way to get Pokemon without having to discard. I love that card. I wish that card would come back. I know we have Evo Incense and stuff, but that was a really cool card. You got the Quick Ball, discard a card, get a basic, pretty easy there. You got 3 Ultra Ball, same thing. The best part about Ultra Ball 2 is in Quick Ball, you discard an energy. Love that. Helps with your strategy. We got the Versus Seeker I talked about to get back one of your 3 supporters. Skyfield, which is another reason Kyogre's good. So you can have 8 bench Pokemon, like both players. So because you want like a large bench, you can do it in a way so if your opponent gets rid of it, at least you're getting rid of like your Crobat, Dedenne. It's like Collapse Stadium and Standard. Like this going away is like that having to, which is not bad because you're like, well, but I don't need this Dedenne, or I opened this Zapdos and it's bad this matchup. So it's one of those things where if it goes away, that's okay. That might be a time you Field Blow yourself, but that's pretty rare. You want your opponent to do it because the more bench they have, if they don't have a Pokemon to stop the bench damage, the more your Kyogre does. Then we go to 3 supporters. Guzma, which is switch one of your opponent's bench with their active, and you get to switch yours. The man. We have N. Each player shuffles their hand in their deck and draws a card equal to how many prizes they have remaining. It's a good comeback card. It also combos with Electrode as you knock yourself out. So, Electrode. Ha, now you got 4 cards in your hand. Or Electrode into Sylveon. Now you got no cards in your hand. Like, it's pretty cool. Or, Electrode N. Discard 2 your Pokemon in play. Like, it's pretty good. Then we got Juniper. Discard your hand, draw 7. Self-explanatory. We got the 2 Floatstone, which is apparently a stone is better than a balloon, as balloon gives you 2 less retreat costs. This just gives you no retreat costs. Really sweet. If they ever get rid of balloon, I would not mind seeing Floatstone back in standard. With that being said, this is Electrode GX Box. This video, I will not be playing any games with it. But if you want me to see me do a video with games, let me know below. Or other Pokemon, if you do play Expanded, let me know what you think. are other good choices. Again, thanks to Lou for the deck list. I love it so much. I love where expanded is. It's crazy. Just do what you want. You want to throw Whismur in your deck? You got it. So with that being said, thank you for watching the T-Table, episode 4 of Expanded Week. We'll be back tomorrow with the 5th and final deck, and I will see you guys next time.